Crypto's crashing, Bitcoin's crashing, altcoins are crashing, the bull market's over, World War III. Do not fall for that FUD. Take this as a signal to identify what you need to do or what you need to not do in this market right now. Everything hinges on your future and what decisions you make right now. We're going to be diving in here in just about 20 seconds to dive exactly into the targets that we're looking at, what plans and actions that we need to be taking in this market, and are there any setups or other data that are suggesting more specifically what we should be hoping for, what we should be fearing for, or what strategies we should be employing so that we're not hoping and fearing, but we're actually putting the paper to the road so we can make some money in this market. Everybody, let's go. Hit the like button. Drop a comment in the live chat. Good morning. What city are you from? Type it in there. Let's go. Feels so scary. Look at that. Just down into the, oh my God, it's over, right? This is what we are here for. This is what Discover Crypto, BitLab Academy, Blockchain Basement, so we can break down this data, so we can look at the signals, so we understand what the recipe for success is here. And right now, that recipe is do not act irrationally. Do not act where you're jumping into the emotion that this market is stirring in you right now, because the news headlines are doing everything possible to get you to sell right down there at the bottom of that dip. And could it go further? In fact, I think it might. We're going to show you what level they are, not just on Bitcoin, but also what we're seeing on Ethereum, on Avalanche, on HBAR, on Cardano. We're seeing some scariness, but it's not scary if you have those lower targets down there where you can have some limit orders set, or you just get the hell out of the charts for a few days and go ride a scooter, go swim, go, paint your house. I don't care. Do anything else. If you're acting emotionally right now and irrationally in this market, your only purpose is going to be to give your assets to somebody with a better strategy. But I'm here to help you build that better strategy. That's what this is all about. I got the Bitcoin algorithm there, the Bitcoin equation here on the shirt. We are coming in strong today, so let's dive into it. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. My name's Kellam. We're about to break down exactly what's going on in this market, because the price action, look at that, TAO going right down into those lower levels like I was talking about just the other day. So what are we looking at? Is it over is the question. Guys, the market feels so scary right now, but that's what they want you to believe, that it is scary. The longer you're in this market, the more you welcome times like this, because this is when you make the most money, or you prevent yourself from losing the most money. There's a difference there. I want to make money, but I also want to risk mitigate so I don't put myself in the crosshairs of just losing more and more money, which so many people do in this market until they eventually give up. And it's not just crypto, it's just investing and trading in general. You need to make sure you have a strategy, because we are seeing red across the board right now. Look at how much red is in the charts. Does this mean that we just give up because the bull market's canceled because of all this geopolitical nonsense that's going on? No, we are not that weak. We're going to look at the FUD. We're going to look at the narratives. We're going to look at what they're spinning. And we're also going to look at the market and realize that Bitcoin is actually made for times like this. The volatility is there for you to make even more money if you can manage it. The question is, can you manage it? And what are we managing? We're managing our emotions. That's the number one thing. You can look at an indicator, you look at all this data, but if you emotionally cannot handle the stress of a red day, you will not make it in this market. Once you learn how to deal with the emotional stress of a red day, and you turn that negative emotion into an opportunistic emotion to where you can use this to your advantage, then you welcome days like this. So shout out to everybody that's in here. We got HBAR Dano Bean in the house. How you doing? Food is life. How you doing? Kingston Crows, Alexander G. Kelly, you served, give me a rough plan, increase. Hey, I did serve. I was in the Air Force. long time retired at this point, medically retired. I got hurt back in 2003, retired right around 2005. But hey, we're here. What do we do to navigate this? We invest in assets we believe in, because when you look at the markets and you just see the up and to the right over time, you just see more and more reason to find yourself investing in assets that you believe in. In fact, I shared a tweet on this yesterday, and let me see if I can find it. I think I did the same thing yesterday. It is just up and to the right with money printing. Where is this at? Up and to the right with money printing. There's always a reason. There's always a reason. Let me find this really quick, because this is important for us to remember. In times like this, where we're like, it's all over, it's all done, what do we do? Blah, 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 blah. We are just confusing ourselves. First off, look at this. The whales stacking in at these levels. The Bitcoin top is not in. The crypto top is not in. That also does not mean the bottom is in on this dip. You have to realize those two things do not go hand in hand. We can have a larger dip. Hell, we could go down to $84,000, $85,000, and it would still be an incredibly bullish bull run structure that we are in. But when I see this, the absolute layering in from corporations and governments and states and nations and financial institutions and whales stacking exponentially, then I look at days like today and I go, you're giving us the gift of lower prices. Thank God we have the ability to have strategy, to have data, and to have an action plan to navigate this market, so we can sit through some dips, but also add to positions if we are able to, right? So shout out. Shout out to Jay, says, I think this is the first time I tuned in here. Well, welcome to the show, brother. I appreciate you. I shout out to everybody that tunes in here, especially all the OGs that have been tuning in for years. Everybody, whether you're new, whether you're old, whether you're tall, whether you're short, whatever country you're in, it doesn't bother. I mean, I'm happy you're here. We're here together because we're looking at data, and we're going to be diving into some technical analysis. We're going to be looking at charts. We're going to be looking at some key levels that we have to watch for that we can use to our advantage. When I highlight a level, it doesn't mean the price is going to go there. It means we are preparing if it does go there. Do you see what I mean? Because we can look to the downside by also having targets to the upside, because these markets can act irrational. When they do so so quickly. Too many people jump in at the top of this only for it to reverse, or the bottom of this only for it to reverse. We want to get in the right moments when the data is suggesting, to the best of our ability, to the best of our knowledge, that we're making a smart, educated move rather than an emotional move in the market. So let's continue on, because we got some other data here. Where is that chart at? This is, I just shared it yesterday. Does not matter. I don't even want to look for it any longer. Essentially, it was a money flow. It was essentially this right here. When you come back over here and you look at the global liquidity, that's the word I'm looking for. Global liquidity. There we go. This is up and to the right. Up and to the right. This is how much money is getting printed and added to markets, or a little bit of quantitative tightening, a little bit of tightening, a little bit of tightening. Despite any of these tightenings, what do you see? Yeah, we had a market dip. When you understand this dip set up an overwhelmingly incredible buy opportunity for this price action to the upside. This dip, Bitcoin's dead. Those that were looking at this and realizing, okay, we're on a sort of 4-year cycle, business liquidity cycle, the presidential election cycle, whatever the cycle is, we're seeing a regular pattern here of large parabolic uptrends, a period of cool off that provides another incredible opportunity for massive gains into the next uptrend. Similarly, we had this last year that culminated with the end when the FTX exchange collapsed after all those cascading liquidations from what's it called? Voyager and BlockFi and Celsius, Luna, FTX being the last one. And then we have had this beautiful bull run with this just choppy liquidity, because the world's waking up to how shitty it is to have all this inflation. All of this is what drives inflation. More money available means more people to have money to spend on things. So there's more demand created for those things. So you have to raise the price, price ends up inevitably raising because more people are competing to buy that thing. The difference here is Bitcoin's the only asset globally in the history of the world that has a fixed and finite supply. So as we're seeing inflation in our lives, whether it's gas or groceries or getting movie ticket or a meal out to eat on a date, all those things ebb and flow in price also by how much economic activity is around it. Bitcoin has the ability to ebb and flow also with the economic activity around it, but it also has a fixed cap with the world racing to stack it. Fixed cap meaning the available supply, not a fixed cap of how much money can go into it. In fact, Bitcoin is the ultimate capture mechanism for all of this financial mismanagement. In fact, I look at this as an ultimate money glitch to where once you realize this about Bitcoin and also some altcoins on a small time period, that you can take advantage of the speculative market, but also the hedge against the world, especially right now where it feels like we have World War III sitting on the horizon. I'm looking at the global liquidity. This is pushing to new highs, and yet Bitcoin is flat right now. We have higher to go, much higher to go. And I'm going to show you exactly why. First off, it is this chart right here. I've broke this down. I shared this on June 12th. I've shared other charts similar to this over the last many months, but I'm still looking at these zones up here. Do I think we're going to get to the astronaut zone? I called it the astronaut zone because I think this is the least likely out of these three targets. Could it get there? Sure. This zone way up here in the $300,000 mark, sure, it could. But right now, we need to pay attention to where we're at right here. Everybody looks at this, they lose sight that you can still have dips along the way. In fact, this is why I have this area highlighted. And this area that I've highlighted is basically this 74,000 up to about, I mean, I could draw this a little higher, up to about 90, 92,000. This, if the price action comes back into the zone, this would be a very, to me, kind of a gift from God buying zone if this does come down here. I don't think it's going to get down there. I'm prepared if it does, but I don't think it's going to get down there, which is why I called this the gift from God. It's very unlikely that we're going to get this opportunity again where we already retested this high. But remember, the world races to stack Bitcoin, as I have written in this phase that we're in. Why does it start right here? Because this phase is right when this current presidential administration came in with a whole new landscape opening up for Bitcoin and crypto and stablecoins. In fact, we have the Genius Coin bill act being voted on today. Where is that at? Right here. The Senate set to vote on the Genius Act today, Tuesday, about 4:30 p.m. Later on today, they're voting, and this has major implications for what's going on in the market. And this is some of them. Bill Haggerty right here says, establish U.S. dollar dominance, or at least get it more entrenched. Revitalize our payment system into the 21st century. Make America the world leader for stablecoins. All of these, remember, stablecoins work on the blockchain. So this is stronger. I mean, this is incredible news for blockchain in general and Bitcoin. This is opening up that closed, ignorant mind of the world. And I'm not saying ignorant in a negative way. I mean, the world doesn't know. They dealt with 15 years of misinformation about what Bitcoin and crypto are or what they thought they were. You know, even from people like Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the history of the world, was on, basically on mainstream media saying that Bitcoin is an index for money laundering, only a couple years later say that Bitcoin is a hedge against every asset in the world. This is a safe haven. Bitcoin is the flight to quality. And this is one of the reasons, it's not the only reason, but this is at a pivotal moment where bonds are not doing well. It's just an ugly market. The U.S. Treasury market's not doing well. The Fed and the Treasury are working together to use funding from the government to help keep those markets up. The Bank of Japan having issues where we just had that huge yen carry trade fiasco last year, July and August, where we saw a massive 30% drop on Bitcoin, but also the traditional stock market as well, because of the fear about what's going on in the global economy because of the lack of safe havens for people to put their money. Enter Bitcoin. Bitcoin is taking that spot, and stable coins are going to be a major, major boon being a good thing, positive for the crypto ecosystem. Shout out, I see Ellie Fuchs in here. Food is Life, Granny's Garden. Chemo and crypto, Red Elephant, DeFi, crypto and airdrops. How you doing, veteran crypto? Everybody that is here, I want to see right now, because we are all over the world. I know there's a lot of U.S. focused policy and regulations, but the U.S. has the largest amount of liquidity that's going in and out of the crypto ecosystem. Okay, it's the largest single country that has major impact on what's happening, not only with the liquidity in the crypto ecosystem, but also setting the tone for what types of regulation are going to sort of matriculate over into the rest of the world. So this is very important. Wherever you're from, welcome to the show. I want you to say good morning or good night, GM or GN, depending on where you're at, and the city that you're tuned in from. I want to see how far and why this is. If you're watching on Twitter, you can also get involved, get in the live chat. Just to remind you all, if you're watching on Twitter, you can open up that live chat. I got to see how many retweets we got yesterday, because we might be doing a giveaway today. But if you're watching on Twitter, shout out for being here. We got about 2,200 people on Twitter watching. Shout out to you. If you click on the video like this, and right here in the bottom right, this is a whole live, you could say chat here. GM, I am in Atlanta. So I'm just want to see where, because also you guys have the ability to connect with each other wherever you are at as well. I just want to get people more active. We're a community. Let's be a community. So we talked about this price action. Where did it go? That guy is racing. We talked about this price action to the upside, but also notice that the price action on here is also sitting right at this projected trend line that goes back to 2021, all the way back here, projected out. This is where we had a double top, so far, just reject it. We're right back at the same zone. This is at the same time we're having all this stuff geopolitically. So regardless of the news, this trend line was already here saying you might have some trouble here. What do we got? We got some trouble here. Now, what do we do about that? Well, we can be aware that these are our targets somewhere up in here, somewhere in the 158 to 365. This is all dependent on how fast some of these stacking races to stack come in, from governments and states. And by the way, Texas is about to potentially pass their strategic Bitcoin reserve. But I thought they already did. They did. But the governor needs to sign it into law. And that's coming up on the deadline, I think, in 4 or 5 days. Excuse me. But there's a lot more at play. So we're looking at these levels up here. Let's kind of zoom in. Let's look a little bit more granular at where things are going, because we have some key levels that I've been highlighting here that I want you to pay attention to. They're still in play. In fact, they're more likely now, especially as we're seeing some bearishness come into the market. That is these levels right in here. If we zoom in on this, I don't know if I can actually zoom in on this. Can I zoom in? Yeah, let's go here. Let's go 01. It's here, 2024. There we go. So what we're seeing, this is March to where, the beginning of this year to where we're at right now. Let's actually, I want to zoom this out just a little bit. There we go. So now we can see this entire bull run. This bull run from January right here, December 2022, January 2023. This nice move to the upside, reversal out of this, it's so frustrating of a bear market. But it was just on the same time pace that you would have ever expected. In the middle of it, it felt like it was never going to end. And then you look back, you're like, oh, it did the same sort of amount of time as expected based on previous cycles. But what's most interesting is this change in pace right here. This is when the ETF narrative came in, when it became more likely, when BlackRock put in an application. Okay, that happened right here in June. I believe it was in June is right in this, is somewhere right in here. And this is when you got that massive run up, speculative buys. Then the ETFs got approved, the sell-off. I don't know why people sold off. But pay attention to these three bands is what I'm pointing to. Not so much the price action, but how the price action interacts at these moving averages on the way to the upside. This scared people. This was the Japanese yen trade right here. Boom, the sell-off, the yen carry trade fiasco. But then right in this zone, Trump and the crypto-friendly administration came in, massive boom, okay, little sell-off. Where'd it come to? Right back to the previous all-time high right here, even though it lost these moving averages, but it regionally stayed within the same zone, didn't really break down, reject, and have a continuation to the downside. But what we're seeing right here is it's giving us a clear zone. This chart is giving us a clear zone of targets to watch if price continues to drop. What are those prices? Well, you have the short-term holder cost basis, which is this green line right here. You have the 21-week moving average, which is this black line right here, and then the 200-day simple moving average, all bundled in the same zone, as low as about 94,000 and as high as about $98,500. Short-term holder cost basis being that important metric, meaning the average price of short-term holders when they got their coins, the average price is below where the current price is. In a bull trend, for strength of that bull trend, we want to see price find support at or above this area to maintain the super bullish posture. It doesn't mean if we lose this, the bull market's over. In fact, we saw that here. We saw that here. We saw that here. But it just makes you have a little bit more focus on your risk mitigation once these levels are lost. But we've seen this play out a few times, especially since institutions have gotten involved. So we're watching this zone, this basically 98 down to about 94. But what is just below 94? Just below 94 is if you come over here to the Bitcoin futures chart, and that is this, CME futures, we still have the gap down at about 92. If price comes down here, if it comes down to, 95,000, look at this let's go right here on the daily. The 200-day moving average, 200-day moving average is down here at $88,000. Look at this, the 50-day moving average is right about 98,500 in line with the short-term holder cost basis. So we've got a lot of different supports below us, and everybody's just focused on right now looking at a 3-minute chart going, it's over. It's over, guys. The bull market's over because we have a massive, scary downtrend on a 3-minute chart. Zoom out, 1 hour. Okay, what does this show you? Even on the 1 hour, they've been doing nothing but ranging sideways since all the way back here. That is May 9th. We've been ranging sideways since May 9th. See this? Nothing's changed here. Now, I will say this does look like a bit of a bearish structure. We may have room to swing down, but look, we've got a trend line right here that goes back all the way here to November 12th, 2024, finding support, finding support, finding rejection, finding rejection. This already bounced the 101. If we check this out a little bit further, about 101.7, just above $102,000. So we have support by trend line. We have support by moving averages, key moving averages. And then let's go ahead and look at the liquidity. What does the liquidity say on the chart? Let's refresh this, get a cleaner picture. So we have a little bit of liquidity on the liquidation heat map, AKA the hottest zones or the brightest colors are where there's a lot of liquidity of people betting on the opposite direction. What the hell are you talking about, Kelly? Down here, this means people were betting long on leverage. And if the price moves down into these zones, it's moving down in the opposite direction of this person betting on it going up. They are forced to close their position, or they are forced closed by liquidation. So if a long is forced closed, then they have to sell on the market. That's why you get long squeezes and short squeezes. That's what they are. So if the price comes down to this very hot zone, as it was indicating, the price structure was indicating that, and you have this bright light, the Bitcoin price, the moth, the bug wants to go and find the bright light, boom, cleared it. But now we also have this geopolitical confusion and FUD in the market. So it doesn't just come down and clear it and then bounce. We have the landscape, the context of the market is shifting bearish as this is happening, or at least there's fear in the market. So one, market makers take advantage of that and also sell into it. And we also see retail selling as well. But as we mentioned before, and we've been mentioning the last few days, long-term holders have been stacking into these positions, guys. So when we see this coming down, and now look, you see longs liquidated, longs liquidated, longs liquidated. We are starting to get some shorts. People that are dropping in shorts as this falls, you have these little pockets of a lot of liquidity that if the price were to push up into there, they are forced to close those shorts, which would be a forced buy. So although the price feels bearish when you look at the chart and you're zoomed in on the 15-minute and it's like, oh my God, it's over. You come over here and look at the other data, one being these moving averages, key moving averages below us, but more importantly for traders, the liquidation zones, that as price moves down, it doesn't mean the bulls are doomed and the bull market's over, especially when you're zoomed in on a chart on a smaller time frame basis, seeing just the liquidity getting scooped up, clearing out free liquidity in the charts. Many times, big players, market makers, behemoth whales, with 10,000, 50,000, or large swaths of liquidity, holding and trading in this market, they can say, okay, let's take advantage of the fear in the market and also sell into this rather than immediately buying the dip. And you get this sort of very fast cascade to the downside. And when they're ready to buy, boom, it just comes up. And then they get assistance. They get rocket boosters on the way up because they can start the initiation of really reversing this. And as this pushes up and they enter more buy orders and more liquidity into that directional movement, then as the price pushes up, then they also get a bit of a short squeeze slingshot, because as the price pushes up into the zone, these shorts are forced to close, aka they're forced to buy. Then you get more momentum up. They're forced to close, more momentum up, and you get this slingshot effect just after everybody thought it was over. My point here is, do not be one of those people that thinks it's over in the middle of the most bullish fundamental landscape we've ever had in the crypto market. And there's some geopolitical pawns on the horizon that is shaking up markets right at the same time. Remember, the US has about $9 trillion worth of debt they have to refinance here this year, coming due in months. We had the FOMC meeting starting today. We have the FOMC meeting starting tomorrow, determining the rates, the interest rates, which is going to have a big impact on markets. Now, there's still a 0.2% chance on the CME FedWatch tool that we're going to get a Fed rate cut tomorrow, aka the market's already not expecting a rate cut. If we were to get one, that would be boom. I think we'd see a very large bullish candles across the board. But again, that's a 0.2% of a chance that we're going to get a rate cut tomorrow. So we probably won't, unless Jerome Powell wants to prove he's not mad at Trump and he goes and maybe just does a 25 basis point or half a point or a full point cut. I just don't see it happening. What's going to be more interesting is going to be we talked about this every FOMC for the last 2 years, the press conference following the continued pause on the Fed decision. If they start talking about moving more aggressively, being more dovish, then that also will have an equally bullish impact on the price. If they keep just dancing around the topics and saying the same damn words that they've been saying for 2 years, that people are tired of, then I think that will be bearish for the markets and we'll see a drop in price action. But we're navigating this together. And just a reminder, guys, this is still what I'm looking at. And although we have these targets above us, it doesn't mean we don't get in here on the 4-hour chart and say, okay, although we're looking at 158,000, 200,000, 300,000 possibilities, remember possibilities, we have to pay attention in the near term that we don't get chopped out because this price action, we short this and this immediately breaks back to the upside, or we exit because we're sure it's going to come down to 92. That's where I'm going to re-enter. And then the price action bounces at 101 and you never got back in because your dip was too low. You didn't have good strategy. Unfortunately, most traders, that's how they end up jacking themselves around and jacking themselves out of assets, out of profits, or even entirely out of the market. So this is a bearish structure. We've got key levels to watch below us. This is CME futures, but also if we come over here to Bitcoin, I'd be watching that $100,000 mark. 100 to 102,000 is a pretty key zone. Let's get down to where was it? This right here. On the daily, first off, we're at the first critical juncture. First critical juncture right now. We are testing it, and that is this 50 moving average. Testing it. Look, support, support, support. It's kind of trying to breach. If it's lost, again, it's not the end of the world, but this sort of eliminates this immediate bullishness that some people still are expecting. If this is lost, I'm expecting that move down here to the $100,000 to $102,000 range. If this bounces, if this comes down like this, bounces, and then gets rejected by this 50 moving average and comes down like this, then I expect that we're going to be coming back down where to this 200-day moving average projected out. Terrible drawing there. Right about that $96,000, $97,000, $98,000 region, which is perfectly in line with the levels that we're watching here. Now, again, I am not saying the price is going to go there. We prepare ourselves for the eventuality. If this levee breaks, we're going to be targeting this zone right here and this zone right here. If it bounces and just V-shaped corrections up, great. We already got some of our entry. The entry we wanted here didn't happen, but we were able to take advantage of laddering those entries if you are looking for entries on the asset. If this does break down to 95 or below, your alts are going to be wrecked in the near term. But that also means that your alts are going to see massive opportunities for the assets that you really believe in. So when we look at the total, this is the others chart. While we want this right here. We want this up, just go to the upside. It doesn't mean it's going to do it now. In fact, although I still believe the others, basically all your altcoins out there are going to do that, it's very likely in the context and the landscape of the market right now in this moment today, based on all knowledge we have, that this will likely bounce around in here and still, potentially make some, test the lower side of this bounds before we get any of that movement. So if you have altcoins, this translates to, if you have Ethereum, for instance, this translates to, if Bitcoin breaks down to 95, this is coming down to, at minimum, test to 2100. In fact, it might, bounce here and even test back down here into the $1,800 level. That might frustrate you, but we don't have an expectation or an emotional attachment to what the price is going to do. We look at price in the chart in relationship to the data available to us to identify good areas that we either want to buy, hold, or sell. That's it. Take the emotions out of it. And that's why we map this on a daily basis. Johnny December, what did he say? He said, I think Trump's comments about being ready to go to war by this Thursday with Iran and is demanding a complete surrender. I'll be so disappointed if you take, I do not want to be in war either. I agree with that. I think I'm a human, love, let's all get along and get together. But we got to navigate these things, when we're looking at the markets and all of the people affected by war, conflict anywhere in the world, not just that one. There's other ones still going on in the world. I mean, my heart goes out. We got to talk about all of you that have portfolios that are looking to get in, looking to get out, figuring out how to change your future. We're here to talk about the markets and all of these conflicts and how they impact the markets. And that's not to belittle or gloss over the tremendous impact on life that's happening around the world right now. We're not just looking at Bitcoin because we're greedy savages. No, we are also trying to be outside of the broken policy decisions of government. Bitcoin is a vote to be outside and hedged against bad government policy. It's a hedge against bad banking. It's a hedge against bad actors. It's a hedge against so much inflation. So that's why we're navigating this on a daily basis. Crypto Danks, $2 super chat says, do you consider selling all bags on a black swan? Not on. If you're going to sell, you sell. I'm not going to sell because of the black swan. If we have a black swan and things are dumping, I'm not going to sell in the middle of a dump. I have my plan. If that ends up getting delayed 2 years or something like that because something major catastrophic happens in the near term, then for me, I'm going to basically just be finding some dream buy opportunities on the downside if that were to happen. But Ethereum, although here on ETH Bitcoin chart, I mean, this still looks bullish. This is still a bull pennant. We had a little deviation up. I wouldn't be surprised with a little deviation down, but if this is lost, the 382 right here, and this moving average is a 50 daily moving average, then I would expect this to be swinging lower, back down here to the 2128, potentially, honestly, to retest these lows down here at 1896. I'm looking at the prices over here. But we're seeing currently the RSI is trying to hold this 50 level. Okay. If we zoom in on this, you see this is currently holding this level. We got a falling wedge here on the RSI. Hopefully this is a bullish signal that the RSI is, if this is able to hold, especially on the daily, if it holds in this region, this is a bullish leading signal. Now, of course, you see as RSI moves what it's doing, but we're seeing the shape of this pattern in RSI trying to maintain and hold above this, this region right in here. If this comes down and loses and is like this is suggesting bears are taking control on the strength. I'm speaking specifically on the strength. But if the bears are taking control on the strength, AKA the bulls are not being present, then that's going to be a signal as to what is likely going to happen with price. If this pushes down here and tries to come up and the RSI is falling on the bounce to the upside, then this is definitely going to be taking that swing lower. And if the ETH to Bitcoin pair swings to the lower side, then you're going to get Link back down here at $11, $11.26, $11.51, somewhere in this region, potentially even a swing that really scares people down into the nines, down in, this region right in here. Why? We have this price action over here. We have this other key trend line. I think it would front run that, but this is very possible to get Link at the steal price of a lifetime down here, sub $12 in the $9 to $12 region. Will we get it? I don't know. It really does feel to me, despite everything going on with all this negative news everywhere, it feels like they're trying as best they can to shake people out of positions before we get a massive slingshot to the upside. Whether you're looking at Bitcoin, whether you're looking at the S&P 500, look at this. This is, barely about just under 2% below the all-time high. Look at that. Right at 2% below the all-time high. So massive V-shaped recovery. And just as we're about to, break beyond that, we have all this kerfufflery going on all over the world. And don't think that these people are not coordinating. You got Iran, you got oil, you have China getting most of the oil from Iran. If whatever happens, and again, I'm not trying to gloss over the negative human impact here. Look at this, like how the money's flowing. Now, you would think this would be dramatically terrible impact for China if they're having issues with oil. But at the same time, what if the U.S. and China are somewhat in cahoots here with some of the other players on the world stage war is good for the economy. It sounds terrible. You get the sell-off, yes, but it actually builds in incredible amounts of infrastructure and building, and all the money that goes into war is terrible to think of. But that's why you need to be invested in a broad range of assets that can benefit from how money's being spent, how it's being allocated throughout the economy for different reasons. And right now, Bitcoin is my pick. Of course, I've got a number of alts that I've been sharing with you guys along the way, playing those alt plays. But this is, I do expect even on S&P 500, we'll probably get a little bit of a pullback, potentially down in here. If this happens, this spells a much larger pullback potential, the setup, because this would be a potential head and shoulders. If this rotates to the downside like this, bounces up and rejects, head and shoulders, and this is likely coming back to test back into the zone, which I already have mapped out. If this happens, then we'll likely also see another indication that Bitcoin will likely take a spill to the downside. I am not being bearish right now. I am planning accordingly right now. In the context of the FUD, I am overwhelmingly bullish as to where this market is going this cycle. In the very near term, in the next week, I do think we're going to see some swings to the downside. My hope is that through all of this nonsense, my hope is that we hold on Bitcoin specifically, that we hold above, I would say, the $100,000 mark, which we have marked out right here. this would be the most beautiful bounce with a little deviation below that scares people and then slingshot up. If we lose that, we already got the levels. If we just continue ranging sideways, great. But as of right now, this feels so scary and nothing has happened to change anything from us. Hey, currently the price is in a range that it's been in. If you come back all the way here, about 30 days. In a month, Bitcoin's been in a range, ranging up and then back down and then back up around this equilibrium at about $105,000 for 30 days. So until the $100,000 mark is lost, this is what we're doing right now. And if this is lost, we know what level we're looking at. But then you look down, you look at BNB, which keeps getting stronger and stronger activity of addresses and all these sorts of stuff. And this is really, I mean, look at this chart. If you look at BNB, it's really held quite beautifully. Pretty large sell-off here. You see this move down. That's about a 72% drop from the all-time high down here. And then the sideways range that just frustrated the living hell out of everybody, 655 days. And then on this move, it started the move, but this is where it really got started. Now it's, you know, up 128. Just BNB has not made its move yet. And BNB is a token for the largest exchange in the world. I do believe this is going to probably perform very, very well to the upside. And we're seeing activity on the chain really heating up lately. Now on the near term, yeah, head and shoulders. So do we get the swing to the downside, retest back here in the 580s? Maybe. But I'm getting this sort of sense, like whether it's BNB or Ethereum or Bitcoin, that we're seeing on the near-term time frame, the 4-hour time frame, very kind of this bullish indication, a bearish indication. Ethereum, this sort of, it's starting to feel more bearish. You look at BNB, it's starting to feel bearish. Ondo, I mean, definitely bearish. I mean, look at this. It broke out, but it's back in the range. It lost a key support. Aerodrome, we're seeing, yes, bullish, but what do we get when we get a rising wedge, guys? Rising wedges break bearish. So we had the bearish indication. We're getting bearish indicators across the board, signaling a price move to the downside. I fear that far too many people that are not active traders are seeing this and thinking about giving up on the market. Now, everybody, you need to make the decision what you want to do. If you can't deal with the stress, then it's okay. De-risk. And this is also an indication when you get big moves, if you didn't take profit, which is also a form of de-risking, take that as a note for next time you navigate this market. If this market drops 50% right now, it doesn't really impact me in my daily life or it's an emotional thing. Unfortunately, too many people have their rent in this because they were hoping to double it, or they're over leveraged and they have debt that they've taken and they're worried about getting liquidated, or leverage. That this is a moment that will define how you navigate the rest of your time in investing in crypto and in stocks, any form of investment. It's these moments that define you, what you're going to do. I know with all the bearish posturing, I do think we'll get a move to the downside. In fact, but I currently am of the opinion that it's more of a fake out in the markets, that when we get that move, I do think we're going to get a pretty big move very quickly back to the upside, unless the escalation that we're seeing right now becomes a lot more involved in China and US and the trade deals off, all that. That's why we look at those downside targets. But it feels more like posturing right now. If that changes, then we'll address that when it changes and start looking at deeper targets to the downside. But then we also got, what else we got? Link. We talked about Link. Aerodrome. Yeah, the rising wedge broke bearish. Okay, where did it come to? Kind of right in this range where all of this is. If this bounces up, comes further down, I'm watching for a target back down here in the 66K region. That's where I'd be looking for Aerodrome if it continues down. Solana, where we talked about yesterday, we talked about this. If this got rejected on the way up, not able to take out these lows and this high, this range right in here, and it rejected way below this. So this is looking weak right now. If this cannot, we talked about this, losing this level and making that swing down towards the 120s, somewhere over in this region. But this is still actually, surprisingly, this looks more bullish out of all of them. Why? Falling, but falling in a broadening wedge. But if we get that swing to the downside, I'm watching the most immediate target here in the 130s, upper 130s. XRP, Doing nothing. Doing nothing. XRP has been doing nothing for 192 days. XRP has been in a sideways range for 192 days. Now, there's incredible things on the horizon potentially for XRP with some of the litigation going on and Judge Torres and a decision to potentially dismiss or basically close out some of the things they got going on there. But they're working, whether you like XRP or not, they have a lot of integrations that they're working on with different banks and different national governments and things about utilizing potentially XRP technology for CBDCs, which I'm not a fan of CBDCs, but it's still bullish for the tech that might be supplying the technology for those CBDCs in Europe. But other cross-border remittances. There's a lot of things that's going on with XRP right now. But just note, it's been coiling sideways for 194 days. The question is, does this coil result in a massive move to the upside, or does the entire crypto market, XRP included, take a pretty large spill to the downside and work its way to lower targets, potentially down even to $1.40? And, if we get a major black swan back below that dollar. But as it stands right now, just sideways price action. XLM actually also massive move to the upside and just a slow sort of bleed, but it's starting to round out. This is starting to round here. So, this looks a little bit more bullish than XRP does on this time frame. But this on the near term looks like it does want to sort of test a little bit lower. What you'd want to see on XLM is you'd like to see it hold above 21 cents. If that's lost, then let's see. If that's lost, then I think we're coming a bit lower down here to about 17 cents. Let's get some. Yeah, it's a very ugly sort of pattern that we've got going on here. Yeah, I'd be watching in this region here, this 21 cent down to 18 to 17 cents, if it cannot hold this zone. But what you'd really like to see to maintain this sort of rounding, sort of bottoming structure is for this to hold somewhere in this region right in here before testing up, getting compressed, and then making the move. But everything's all on the context right now of what's happening on the geopolitical stage. We also have stacks bleeding to the downside, and the price action told you that. Nice move up, smaller move up, smaller move up, head and shoulders, all in this, all showed you the reversal was likely forming. What we get, the reversal came back down. So what we'd like to see is holding kind of about where we're at. If it loses this zone, and this zone is kind of about right here. If this loses this zone, then I do think that this is going to be taking a stab at that lower price back down to about 50 cents. But be prepared for, even with these bearish setups, be prepared for moves that really get a washout that then V-shaped recovery back up because of where we're at in this market. And then, of course, I want to look at Avalanche. Where is Avalanche? Because I forgot to look at it the other day. I want to change some of those lines, clean it up a little bit. Avalanche, we got 3,894, 3,900 people in the room. I just want to shout out everybody. This is your first time tuning in. Welcome to the family. We break down charts. We break down data. We break down, I don't know what's going on with my computer. We break down on chain, the fractured, max confusion in markets, different wallet sizes, all doing different stuff. There's no unified direction, whether it's all blue accumulation or all red distribution, buying, selling. It's just not lining up. We also see over here a J.R. Martin. We see the million Bitcoin have now transitioned from short-term holder to long-term holders. Strength in the market. So in all of this fear and everything we're seeing, we're also seeing other things that are showing confusion, but then also strength. But then also right here, what do we see? A setup for the likely start of the next major move to the upside on the macro. On the midterm, on the near term, we still have some noise to decipher. And this is right here as well. This is the others chart. Max opportunity to mega alt season for altcoins. Look at this. The market cap of all altcoins outside of the top 10, the others chart, is the lowest level since 2021. So I asked, is this the opportunity zone where we're about to get the alt season? Let me know in the chat. Do you think it's A, B, or C? Or do you think this is cycle of max pain for altcoin holders still holding? We're not going to get the alt season. Or do you think it's C, some narratives focused some narrative focused alt pumps, but the Bitcoin to ETH, the small cap pump narrative is dead. Which one of these do you think it is? Your viewer count shows YouTube. So on my viewer count, I can see YouTube, which is 220 concurrent viewers right now. On YouTube, on X, we've got 3,717. And then on Rumble, I don't know. Yeah, we should be live on Rumble. Let me see. We should be live on Rumble. Yeah, we got only about 20 viewers right now. This shows the concurrent, but these, they kind of tick up over time. So we got a large number of people tuned in across the world and across different things. But I do want to highlight a little bit of fear. Tech stocks relative to the M2 money supply. The dot-com bubble, which is this, what we know happened there. The tech stocks collapsed after. We are kind of seeing a similar thing in tech stocks right now with this ratio. So there are signs of concern, while there's also signs of all the bullish wins and everything going on in Bitcoin and the government and blockchain and regulation that are suggesting that there's so much higher to go, but you can't bet your entire life on it. You can take some very calculated bets and risks and I almost said investments, but you need to be a little bit careful here. I am overwhelmingly bullish, but this is why we're looking at some downside targets, because I think we're going to get some better buying opportunities. Again, it's not scary. It's a better opportunity. And this is, look, working its way towards that zone. Got a falling wedge, falling channel. It's very ugly. We lost this trend line here. We have this other low. It's kind of a region here. We can draw this like this. I'd like to draw this like this. That's the region I'll be watching. For Avalanche, we might be getting it back down in the sub 18 down into the 16s. I would love that. I'd like to get back in on Avalanche. AVE still looking incredibly bullish. V-shaped recovery. However, broadening wedge, rising broadening wedge. If this loses this level, then we need some targets to the downside. What are they? On the daily chart, we have the 200-day moving average. We have the 21-day moving average. Or 50-day moving average, I'm sorry. Back down here at 242. If that's lost, then the next target down is 214. But guys, we've been doing this together for the last several years. We've been growing together. We've been taking wins, taking losses, learning, sharpening our swords, growing as a community. And I love you guys. I really do appreciate you guys. I do want to just tell you how much I do appreciate you guys being here every day. The super chats, the people that are members here, it's about $1.25 a week here on the YouTube. You help keep us going, keep the lights on. We've had a really hard year and a half with, some of you are aware of it, some of you aren't, but the international intrigue that happened, it's just so unfortunate, but we came out the other side better for it, on the right side of the thing. And I do love you guys. I do appreciate you guys. This community means the world to me. If you are watching, if this is your first time, would like to ask you, look down below the video right now. And if it doesn't say subscribed, if you're watching on YouTube, came out the other side better for it. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you look down below this. It says subscribed. It looks like this, one or the other. If you want to become a member, click the join button. Join us here. It's about $1.25 a week. Hit that like button. Share this out to your friends and family. Get active in the live chat. Show some love. If you'd like to participate with any of our channel partners, Bitcoin IRA, which you see up there, Arculus, those links are right here. Get 20% off. Best crypto cold storage wallet out there. GetArculus.com. You can see the link is right here. GetArculus.com. Use code BitLab20. If you want VPN. This isn't a sponsorship. It's more of an affiliate. We're partners with them, and I got them to give a deal. If you sign up for nordvpn.com/BitLab, you get 4 months free. It's also a great way to help support us, because if they give us some kickbacks and we meet certain thresholds of sales, which I think we've only got like 6 people that signed up for the VPN. I don't know why. You guys need to be using a VPN. Of course, this is the most important. Join the Discord. Get involved with us there. If you're a paying BitLab member, drop a message to an email others office@hitnetwork.com. Let them know you're a BitLab member and your Discord username. We could check that if you're a paying member. We'll give you you can basically just keep paying for BitLab, and you're basically getting about a 75% discount on the cost of what you're doing over on what we're doing in here. And you get the access. The reason we moved over there is so we could do me, DZ, Joshua, Jake, TJ, Drew. All of us are there sharing alpha throughout the day, more members, morning streams, portfolios, trading, live trading, all that is, we're all together. So drop an email to office@hitnetwork.com. Let them know you're a member of BitLab. We'll check to see, and then we'll give you, basically, you don't have to re-sign up. So that's what you can do. So big love to you guys. If you're watching on X, make sure, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you're following me on X right here at Kelly Kellam. If you're watching on X and you're not following me, what are you doing? Hit that like button. Come over here, give me a follow. I'm dropping alpha all day long. I'm in different panels, talking with some of the biggest communities and devs and all this kind of stuff throughout the ecosystem. And then also Rumble. If you're watching on Rumble, make sure you hit that following button while you're watching. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I got to roll. Stay frosty. These markets are providing opportunities. Remember, in 6 months from now, when price is much higher, you're going to look back at these moments that are frustrating and say, I should have looked at all the on-chain data. Are we in for some scary times? Absolutely. But it wouldn't be worth it. The profits wouldn't be, they're not meant to be easy. Massive profits. If it's difficult to get them, then it's probably the right strategy. Now, the problem with that is so many people think I need to make it difficult to go 40x leverage. Do it. Do it on a $10 trade. Do it on a $100 trade. If you have a $15,000 portfolio, throw $50, $100 here and there. Do it. That's a good way to sharpen your skills. But so many people do it with their entire portfolio and they take too big of risks. The hard thing right now, the reason why it's difficult isn't that this market's difficult. It's that our emotions are difficult in this market. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to shoot you over. I think, who should we send you to today? Is Tommy Boy, Tom Crown on? Let's see who's live. And I'd love, if you guys could do me this favor, Sin City Crypto's on. Yeah. So I'm going to redirect you guys over there if you're watching on YouTube. But drop over there, let them know, say the BitLab family's here. Let's all go spam their chat. Let them know the BitLab fam's there. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Adios, muchachos. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank all of you for tuning in.